Listen, it is my time to finally talk about Lumix. This is gonna be your informal, untech review, generally just my thoughts of the new Lumix S1ii. I'm just gonna report to you my findings on this. Lumix did send it to me because I freaking begged them for weeks. They did not pay me. They don't even know I'm doing this video, so that is my disclaimer. I'm not selling out for Lumix. I know some of you guys are gonna say that, so I just had to say it here. I am genuinely excited about this camera, but there are also a lot of things that need to change. So I've been using this camera for a lot of run and gun work, a lot of in the wilderness, a lot of out in Washington in the mountains in Canada, out here, a lot of on the fly, shoot quick, shoot fast, get a really good image. Anamorphic stabilization is one thing that I really do like. Some of the Blaze Arcado shots gets weird because there's so much barrel distortion, but in a nutshell, these Lumix cameras can go in and adjust your ability to have like 1.33 or 1.5 or 2x anamorphic de-squeeze. And then when you do that, you adjust the image stabilization accordingly as well. So it stabilizes according to your anamorphic lenses. That is something that Sony's do not do. So not comparing, just saying. I don't necessarily need 6K, but it does give it a little bit more of a polish and it like this clean crispness to me that looks really nice, especially with softer lenses and adding film grain. It's this weird balance of like destroying something that's sharper. But being able to have that 6K ability combined with open gate is what really draws me to it. And the open gate I'm really liking because of anamorphic, simply because of that. Of course, I love a spherical kind of 4x3 look, but being able to shoot open gate on anamorphics has been really helpful for me because otherwise, if I'm not shooting Sony, which is a huge aspect ratio, I've got to shoot my Pixis, which sometimes is very bulky. So when I'm doing this run and gun on the fly stuff, that's where it really comes in handy. The next thing is Arilog. The new addition that they just added, a couple weeks ago, is the use of Arilog C3. I don't want it to get it confused with I'm not saying it's an Alexa because it doesn't actually affect your dynamic range differently. Regardless, what I like about Arilog is one, the placement of middle gray where it falls, and it just, to me, looks like it changes kind of that gamma curve, but also just the colors. And working with an Alexa, which I would pair this a lot of times when I'm using Alexa, I've got a project coming up, we're gonna shoot LF, and then we're on a small sailboat. This might come in handy for a lot of either that in-water or sailboat type stuff. So pairing it with other cameras as well, but don't get it confused. It's not gonna make it magically an Alexa by that update, but it is something that still was compelling to me. The next for me is false color. The addition of false color in camera is so helpful. That way you don't have to just trust your plus and minus like you would on, say, a Sony. Now you can just go in and expose, find out where your highlights are, find out where your skin tones want to be, all through false color. Now I will say it does not transfer over HDMI to your external monitor, which to me I think needs to change, which hopefully it will in the future. But you still have that as a reference monitor on here when you're opening up and doing all of that and making sure that your lights are doing what you want them to, or your highlights are recovered in the sky when you're shooting out here. All right, let's talk about the menus. Everybody talks about them. They talk about them with the Sonys, talk about them with this. For me, I'm so fucking lost in here. I guess you could compare it to just being like learning the menus of a Sony system. I'm just familiar with Sony, so now I have to learn the menus of the Lumix system. I'm getting there, but also Talbot, who's right over here actually. Yeah, that's probably out of focus, but you guys know Brandon. He showed me a new thing last week that was, you can, when you're in the menu system, oh wait, I've been recording this whole time. We're still learning. All you do is hit display and it'll tell you what everything is, every setting, all of that, and every menu. So that is a huge help when learning a system. Now it's time to talk about something that you didn't ask for necessarily, but you're gonna be glad that I brought it up, and that's HoneyBook. You know, before HoneyBook, contracts, admin work, invoices, it was all kind of unorganized, at least for me it is, but that's where HoneyBook comes to save the day. HoneyBook is, you gotta think of it as more of just a tool to use for your admin work. It's more of your ally, and think of it as an office assistant. And listen, For years, I've fought the whole professional invoice thing. I'm not good at making the contracts. I'm not good at making the invoices. I hate the whole professionalism part, and that's where the ally of HoneyBook comes into play. And on top of that, it's all automated now. So not only do you get access to all the invoices, the templates, the contracts, but say you sign on a new client and immediately you can set it up so there's a follow-up email or an onboarding email saying, hey, welcome, here's my services, whatever, blah, 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 or reminder emails. Say you book a shoot 6 months down the line, you can also add on reminder emails. So if you forget, naturally, you can have it set to 1 week before, 1 month before, whatever you want before, sends out a reminder saying, hey, don't forget, here's what you need coming up to the shoot. And that's why we have to think of HoneyBook as an office assistant to be able to really help out with all of that admin work. But on top of that, they give you invoicing, they give you contracts, they also give you professional email templates so you can set up a professional email template to be automated to go out for whenever. That's a huge plus. And with all of those benefits, we get so much of our valuable time back to be able to go out and do what you want while your office admin does all the work for you. And you can check things along the way with the mobile app as well and make sure everything is flowing smoothly while you're out here off grid. Now, it's time for you guys to go try HoneyBook out for free for 7 days. I'm gonna leave a link down below. Let's get back into the woods. It's not a camera game changer for me, but it is an app game changer, and that is the app. The app works. Yes, you can preview. You can't view a preview LUT, which is kind of annoying. You're just looking at a log image. The one thing that really gets to me is that when connected to the camera via the app, via the Lumix Flow app, you cannot speed or stop recording on the camera. You have to do it strictly on the phone, which is fine, whatever. Where it gets really tricky is this doesn't connect far. Mesh and I tested it last night. You can get maybe 15 feet out of it before it disconnects line of sight. Once it disconnects, the camera stops recording. You can't stop it, start it, do anything on the camera, and then once the phone connects, it stops recording, which to me is terrible. So that would make me not use the app unless I really, really need to and I'm filming myself. Doesn't make me hate the camera, but it is something that is very important to note when using the app. Just saying. Now, I haven't used it yet, but Kofi was just telling me about it. Lumix Lab is an app where you can pretty much customize, I guess, the flavor of your LUTs.
So Lumix Lab is going to be an iOS app. I think it's on Android as well, but effectively what you can do is, because you could use real-time LUT in camera, you could send the cube file back to your phone, customize it, and then send it back to your camera.
So that sounds like a great app that I should be using more often. Listen, guys, I'm still learning. I didn't even know there was an app 3 days ago. So as far as low light performance goes, I feel like I keep comparing back to the FX3, which apparently people don't want us to do, but it's the kind of like form factor camera that I would compare to each other based off of what I've got. Low light performance, I've seen a handful of videos that actually prove to me that the S1 might actually perform equivalent to the FX3 as far as low light performance. Where I think it helps is having the 6K resolution makes that noise look a little bit crisper and cleaner, and to me, more desirable. One thing with the FX3 is once you start to get that high ISO noise, it starts to soften up and you get some weird color artifacting in there. That, you know, it's when you're shooting at 12,000 ISO, you gotta expect something. So it's not the worst thing, but just comparing the two, I've noticed that it doesn't look too bad. So there's a bunch of different codecs you can shoot in. You can shoot ProRes 422, you can shoot ProRes 422 HQ. You can also shoot MOV 420 10-bit, and that's what I've been shooting a lot of things. And I know 420 for me especially was like a deterrent. The second I heard that, I was like, oh, I don't want it. But then once going in and kind of pushing the footage and playing around with it, some of the only issues that I found were in really those red taillights that a lot of digital cameras actually have trouble with as it is, but they just really couldn't handle the taillights on the truck in Washington. And that was just when I was shooting 420. I'd imagine if I was in ProRes, they would probably maintain just a little bit deeper information in there. But all in all, I have had zero issues pushing this footage even as that. And then 420, I've got, what do I have in here? A 512 gigabyte card, and it gets me like 5 hours. Again, for running gun stuff like this, really, really helpful. Would this replace client work? I think that, you know, it's not quite there. I would probably take something like my FX6 or maybe a Pixis or whatever on production. If there were to be a larger, more production-based thing like an FX6 equivalent of this, that would really make me happy. Ultimately, guys, I'm not telling you to like this camera or not. I don't really give two shits if you do. I'm telling you that I do like it a lot. I've showed you a lot of footage throughout this entire video of my use cases in the past couple weeks of it. Make your judgment of if you actually like the footage or not. And that's kind of all that matters to me. I think that it's a really great camera. I think that the workflow of it. Let me know genuinely your thoughts of this Lumix down below. I am just new to this Lumix platform. I hate switching camera systems, which is why it took me so long to actually get my hands on this. It took kind of a lot of convincing from all my friends that it was a good camera and to test it out. So leave your opinions below, and that's it. So you guys are the best. Share this with like a distant third grandparent if you want to. And I love you and good night. So a good part of the reason why I've actually been interested in Lumix.
Has nothing to do with me.
It has everything to do with Kofi.
I've done nothing right or wrong.